Hello and welcome back for another patch notes video. Today we're going to be looking at patch 2.11, White Hawk Down. Now I was a little bit unexpected how quickly they got this patch out, but it's pretty awesome. Got some interesting things that we'll go over and we'll show you in the rest of this. So probably the biggest change of the patch is this new character, Rocco. His first ability is this sort of arrow that you can aim and it shoots as far like it will never stop until it hits someone. So if you miss, it just keeps going to the edge of the map. So as long as the range is, like let's watch it there on the minimap, let's hope we don't hit anybody, it just keeps going and going and going. His second ability is this, what is it called? I can look up the name later, but what it does is it removes the cool, like the speed debuff when you're actually using your AA. As you can see, I can move a lot faster while moving. And then it adds a slowness to your AA, so it's quite powerful in that regard. The ability is called Vengeance and Precision Shot and Rapid Arrow. He's pretty interesting right now. A very heavy emphasis on AA. It's quite strong AA. Ironically, he's the first bird character, but he doesn't actually have any double jump. He just has this single jump like that. And so he does feel a little bit slow considering he's supposed to be a bird, but I mean, he doesn't feel too broken. If he had really good movement speed and the attack capabilities that he had, it would probably be a little bit too powerful. Two new skins have been added, a Shinobi Rocco, I don't know quite how you say that, and a Sun Wukong Scree, so both sort of ninja-y, kind of more western or eastern themed skins. That's kind of neat. This thingy down here is now powered by the internet, so it doesn't have to require a new patch to actually update this. Couple of general bug fixes. The game now shows an error message if files are corrupted and asks Steam to re-download them automatically. Possibly fixed that the game would hang on exit when it doesn't show updating cloud profile. Fixed an issue where quickly adding and removing a local player in party select screen would cause a graphical glitch. They've replaced a couple of the bots. They replaced Froggy, Scoop, and Century with completely new bots. All of them were made by Ignatus, and they updated the AI for Derpal. And now a couple of general gameplay changes. BKM now also reduces the effect of time warps such as Yuri Warp and Ray's Time Rift. So that's decent when you're up against one of those two. Now you can pick that up and reduce the amount of slow you got. Droids cannot be stopped anymore by hovering over and under them with characters such as Yura. I assume, like if you were standing here. They fixed that if a Weedling or Flying Droid dies before its bullet has reached its target, it will actually properly show a damage indicator this time. Droids now have slight size variation. They also fixed a situation where tutorial parts were active in the normal matches. Basically, like you wouldn't be able to use abilities, like things with Lone Star were messed up, but they fixed all that. I feel like they've said this before, but they said you can't fly up in the drop pod landing areas anymore. I know lots of people have abused this in the past. Not abused, but figured it out. When there is a host migration, bots now won't fall from the sky anymore. They'll basically stay where they were at the start. So they won't get a huge disadvantage from disconnects. They fixed an issue in custom games where Wraithstone bonus would be given to each player on the same team that had the same knot as the player that killed the creep. And finally, if you couldn't tell by now, they've redesigned the health bars and charge bars, which also includes a lot of new indicators, which I will probably show in the rest of this video. As you can see, the combo meter has changed, but now for some map changes. Agilion, they moved the team wall above the drill a little bit back so the enemy team can't stand on it anymore. I assume it was talking about some bug where you could jump on top because it's definitely not affecting the actual core itself. But I'm assuming it's part of this, like you can stand on it on the other team. And on Serona, the jump pads in the top middle area have been separated a little bit. That way it's a little bit easier to distinguish between the two and not so much get in between both of them. And now for the individual knot changes. First of all, a counter has been added to Plunk's Explode. As you can see, you can now see how long it is for the explode that's going to last. Now that's great. I've always wanted something like that. And now the other thing that changed with Clunk is you can no longer activate this thing while teleporting, which is nice because I'm always afraid of activating that and exploding myself and killing myself. I always think that's going to happen. A couple of changes to Coco. Blaze also has a similar countdown like that, and there's also now an indicator if you've hit. If I could actually hit something. See, it's got the hit symbol so that you know when you actually land a skill shot. The achievement Swiftly Through the Forest time has been reduced from 12 seconds to 11 seconds, and that, I guess, is to account for Serona getting squished like it did. And finally, there was a bug where superconductor bullets would travel farther when they were shot down. You could use that to sort of rain the particles down on a lot of people, and I guess that was not intended, and they removed it. For Froggy G, the only thing that changed was he also got a cooldown indicator, so you can tell how long NATO lasts. Just a couple of changes for Genji. You can now move while casting Monarch Blessing, and additionally, you won't drop while casting it during flight, which is great, because that's always been a bugbear of mine, is that you try to cast it, and it's like all of a sudden sinking like a rock, but now it does not do that anymore. And also, they fixed an issue where his idle animation would play instead of the fall animation after fluttering, so like going like that. So the wrong animation would play, I guess it would play something like that instead of the actual fall. They fixed an issue on Null where spitting on droids would change the height of the health bar. I'd noticed this in the past and I was wondering if it was a bug or not, but it is apparently. And now for probably the biggest change of this patch besides Rocco. Lone Star has been tweaked a lot. They slightly increased his movement speed, and a couple of his items have been changed. Incendiary Bombs damage increased from 103 to 120 per stage, and Incendiary Grenades damage over time will not apply on the first tick anymore, so now it needs one more tick. Trinamite now increases the damage of your dynamite per throw to 2 stages, 145 per stage. Dynamite now starts with 3 sticks of dynamite. Instead of having to get Trimite, you have it on base. Base damage reduction is reduced per stick of dynamite from 175 to 140 to sort of counteract that. But now he has sort of just a straight up damage upgrade for his dynamite. Cattle Rebooter cooldown has been changed from 1.5 seconds to 2 seconds. The base blaster damage has been increased from 50 to 60. Bovinian Postcard cooldown reduction increased from 0.1 second to 0.15 second per hit. They combined the effects of Mr. TNT from 2 stages into 1 stage and changed the price to 145 solar. Booming Bullets had a price reduction from 180 solar to 135 solar, which I quite like because I love this upgrade. Eagle Bullets added a stage and reduced the damage from 20 to 10 per stage. That way it sort of spread out his damage upgrades, and the Eagle Bullet price is reduced from 215 to 145 per stage. Transfusion Grenades replaced the Perpetual Lifesteal with a flat lifesteal of 60. And sadly, the Hollow Bull won't be using the jump pads anymore. They just go right through them again. Sad face. And if you haven't noticed, they visually overhauled the throwing arc indicator of dynamite. And for Nibs, the Lion Tail upgrade has been changed so that it will now work again when passing through targets. So now you just have to let them go through to actually get the slowness. And also a indicator has been added to Nibs for her fire breath, just like the other characters. For Raylan, they fixed an issue where it was possible to snipe during a teleport when using the Iron Rifle upgrade. Raylan also received a visual overhaul for her throwing indicator. It's the same one as Lone Star. And finally, Time Rift no longer affects turrets. So as you can see, it's still firing at the same rate. Turrets, base, worms, or other obstacles. For Scoop, the Hammer of Justice cooldown has been increased from 6.5 to 7.5 seconds. And also, Ice Cream Van Music cooldown has been reduced from 1 second to 0.75 seconds. And just like Clunk, it is no longer possible to activate your Bindings of Justice while you're teleporting, which is nice. And also, an indicator has been added for Binding of Justice charge. On Sentry, they changed the description to Black Hole Sun to make it more readable and understand what all the stats do. The Circuits of Time decoy will now explode when hit by an invisible enemy. That way, if a invisible person walks by, it will still activate. They fixed an issue where photon mines with counterintelligence cross would not home properly when shot up against terrain, but now they actually work properly. Also discovered a little bit of a bug. Scodier bot started with no health and then instantly go out like that, so we started at a disadvantage. And speaking of Scodier, they fixed an issue where the end graphic of Earthquake was not shown properly. For Scree, the Totem of Power cooldown is now shown correctly in the description, and they visually overhauled his throwing animation just like Raylan. And for Ted, they added a hit indicator in case you actually hit someone. As you can see, I got that little hit there. And also they added a timer to see how long Stim lasts. And finally, they fixed an issue where if Ted died as his airstrike was in air, it wouldn't actually activate properly. Like that one I didn't show properly. But if it had died before it had started doing the vertical thing, it used to just fizzle out. And that doesn't happen anymore. On Vinny, Clown's Mask now functions properly with Mammoth socks with holes. I assume that one sort of overtopped with each other, or the immunity prevented these from actually activating on itself, but now they probably work properly now. And now onto Voltar, who probably has the most amount of text in this patch notes, but it's mostly because most of his items are getting a slight change. First of all, Healbot health is reduced from 300 to 200 health. But Healbot will now gain an extra health over the course of the match, 17 hit points every 5 minutes with a max of 51 hit points. That way it gets a little bit harder on its own to kill these things. Drone Army price has been reduced from 180 to 160 solar. Dark Matter shots price reduced from 125 to 120 solar. Weapon clip-on price reduced from 190 to 170 solar. Hyperdrive price reduced from 170 to 155 per solar. Weaponized hull price reduced from 160 to 145. Warpgate Overdrive price reduced from 180 to 160 per stage. Energy Drink price reduced from 155 to 140 solar. Energy Drink health increased from 100 to 125 per stage, so making it a little more tougher than it used to. Turret or Overheal Potion price reduced from 190 to 170 per stage. Turret Add-on price reduced from 180 to 150 solar per stage. Hydraulic Sugar Dispenser price reduced from 155 to 140 solar per stage. Cortex Tank price reduced from 155 to 140 solar. Bombshell price reduced from 145 to 130 solar per stage, and the duration has been increased from 8 seconds to 10 seconds. Happy Thoughts price reduced from 135 to 125 solar per stage. Psychokinetic Repulsion price reduced from 140 to 125 per stage. Chili flavored eye drops have gotten a lot of changes. The price reduced from 140 to 125 solar. The activation time reduced from 2 seconds, or from 3 seconds to 2 seconds. The heal multiplier increased from 4 times to 5 times, and the damage multiplier increased from 2 times to 4 times. And heal over time multiplier increased from 2 times to 3 times. Twisted Nightmares price reduced from 150 to 135 per stage. Euphoric Thoughts price reduced from 125 to 115 solar. Killing the heal pod before it can finish charging now plays a different death animation. So that is a different animation than if it's just going away on its own. And finally, Voltar's healing wave will now bounce against the ground or other background pieces, which is quite nice because it makes aiming for things a little bit easier, and that's quite needed. You can also do sort of angled shots, but I definitely think that's a great change to his mechanic there. And finally on to Yuri, whose only changes is he also received a duration indicator to time bubble, and also his bubble of time doesn't change the turrets and base and worm or other obstacles, just like Raylan. And finally, a couple of sounds have been added to the game, and I'll do my best to try and figure out what all of them are and to get them recorded. Froggy G's Whirlwind Impact now has a sound to it. You could hear a little bit of a tint to it. They fixed a strange sound effect that was audible everywhere. They added a long-range skill hit sound effect added for Raylan and to Coco. Hear that little zwerp. For Derple's piratey skin, they removed the laser sound effect in turret mode for Derplezork's pirate skin to make his sound more fitting to his pirate theme. They added a new missile sound effect for Clunk. Each stage now has a more epic missile launching sound effect. So first one, second one, third one, fourth one, woohoo! They added a new Derplezork Trown Sap effect. You can sort of hear that over the sound of the hot rod Derple. Like that. Added gun impact sounds for Lone Star and Raylan. Here's Raylan. And here is Lone Star. They added a sword impact for Leon Sab. And it's the same with his other skin. I was just curious to see if that changed. They added more oomph to Scoop's hammer impact. They've adjusted Voltar's damage impact sounds just slightly. They added extra glass impacts when dealing damage to Admiral Swiggins. If you could sort of hear the glass in that. Oh, to Voltar. And here's Swiggins. You can hear his glass getting shattered. There are new Froggy G bullet impact sounds. Sort of gushy, slippery kind of sounding. They've improved revolver gun sound for Lone Star Private Mel's. I don't have this one. And finally, each of Clunk's skins have been given a little bit of attention. Clunk gets the basic missile sound like this. Expendable Clunk gets a reload sound like that. Sort of hear the little clink. Minecraft Clunk gets a more arcade sounding shots. And Cluck gets these sounds. So that has been patch 2.11. It's not a lot changed, but lots of interesting things have been added. Lots of prettying up has been done. And yeah. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.